Good morning, good morning, good morning. It is Tuesday, the 26th of August, 2025. I am Graham Hughes, and you are watching Morning Brew on Politics Social. Welcome, one and welcome all. Big shout out to Joanna and to Reagan Elise. Hi, Reagan Elise. And to Tripod, Martin Harrow, Sarah Davis in the chat there. We've got Viper Scott. We've got Saz in the chat. Oh, yeah. We've got Mike Dix. Hi, Mike. How you doing? And others. If you'd like to join our friends in the chat here, everyone's very friendly, so please feel free to join if you wanna. If you wanna. Just hit the subscribe button and wait for 1 minute, and you'll be able to join in the conversation live in real time. Hurrah! Maybe change the consequences, the path of the universe. Okay, so today we're going to be talking about, I'm sorry, we are going to be talking about Trump. But, friends, do not despair. I'll be talking about the possibility of him carking it and what will happen if he does. Okay, let's crack on. So, the question I'd like to pose to you this morning is a simple one. Is Trump dying? Is he circling the drain? Is he heading towards pushing up the daisies, joining the choir invisible? So this isn't just morbid curiosity. This is about transparency. It's about democracy and stability, I guess, of the American system. There is public concern over the fact he has swollen ankles. He's made some odd comments about getting into heaven. And on Fox and Friends, it seemed to be more like he was in a confessional, confessing to the priest rather than, just talk about politics. It's a bit odd. It was a bit of an odd conversation, that one. He was saying he's not doing so well, but he's hoping that he'll get into heaven. And it was like, oh, okay. And I don't want to read too much into this, right? Because obviously, we've been lied to in the past about the health of, say, Vladimir Putin, who, a month after the invasion of Ukraine, we were told he was dying, he had AIDS, or he had cancer, or he had this or that, scrofula, and he was on his way out. And obviously, 3 years later, he's still with us, unfortunately. Whereas I feel like there was one thing that I saw that, really sort of got me the cogs turning on this, is the fact that his hand is so discoloured from having IV drips put into it, and it looked very similar, thanks Sarah, to the Queen in her last few days on planet Earth when she was photographed meeting Boris Johnson Liz Truss. We didn't actually see the meeting, did we, with Boris Johnson? I like to imagine that she told him to fuck off. And as Aid said this morning in our little group chat, he said, send in the Truss, talking about Trump. But yeah, Trump has got similar bruisings on his hands. Unlike previous presidents, Trump has consistently hidden his medical records, which has fueled speculation about his health. And, Trump's health is a international security issue. If he dies suddenly in office, the fallout will be massive. We haven't had a president die in office since 1963, in November, when John F. Kennedy was shot. There's some red flags going on. We've got the fact that he is morbidly obese, which you can tell by looking at him, his reported love of burgers and Diet Coke, and the whole idea of having a sugar-free drink to go with your burgers kind of nullifies the point of having a diet drink, because you've eaten loads of burgers. Do you see the problem there? You're buying lots of burgers. Oh, doesn't matter. Anyway, and these are high risk factors for cardiovascular disease. In 2020, he got COVID-19. He was hospitalized. There were some experimental treatments that went on, and insiders later said that he was closer to death than he admitted. And then we had this mysterious trip to the Walter Reed Hospital. It's the hospital that presidents are taken to. I think it's the nearest one to 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, where the White House is. No clear explanation ever given for this mysterious trip in 2019. This is before COVID happened. There have been assassination attempts, plural. One of them actually grazed him with a bullet, apparently, although it does look a little bit set up, but who knows. It's kind of unclear how much how bad the shooting injury was to his ear, and whether it actually caused some head trauma on the way past his head. And the current signs are swollen ankles, which could be chronic venous insufficiency, which I think they've admitted to. I think that's one of the things that he's admitted to. But the bruises on his hands, this is according to Caroline Levitt, who is the press secretary. She said it was the bruises on his hands was from shaking too many hands. The bruises are there. I don't really see how that works. But yes. His rambling speeches. But I mean, his speeches have always been rambling, but they've been getting increasingly rambling. Now, as many of you who frequent this channel know, that my dad suffers from dementia. Vascular dementia. And what vascular dementia essentially is, and I'm sure Joanna's going to correct me on the technical terms here, but what I've been told by the doctor essentially is that not enough blood and therefore not enough oxygen is getting to my dad's head. It's getting to his brain, and therefore his brain starts falling apart. That's the medical term for it. And it is caused by having, 88-year-old veins that don't quite work as well as they did when he was 18. And I can see Trump having similar problems to my dad right there and then. And he's obviously not always with it, which, sometimes I'm not with it, especially if I've just woken up and I'm doing a show. But in my defense, I'm not the president of the United States of America. So, but chronic venous insufficiency, stage 4, this leads to skin discoloration, swelling, poor circulation, which could lead to poor circulation to the brain, which could lead to a condition like vascular dementia. Secrecy with the president. This is something that is like crazy to me, because I get upset, and we've spoken about this before, about how the royal family in the UK guard their medical problems. They have this veil of secrecy about them, and they don't talk about medical problems that they have. And I think this is problematic because they do it. You got to understand, I understand their right to privacy, right? But the royal family put themselves above the rest of us. They're better than us mere mortals, divine right, absolutism, and all that kind of shit. And the idea that the king cannot possibly be ill is derived from this medieval mindset that the head of state is appointed by the inventor of the universe, i.e. Goddy, the man who decided to create all this stuff for some reason. As yet inadequately explained reason. I find that a little bit discomforting. The fact that the monarch in this country and the royal family in general could do a lot of good by talking about their health issues, but they won't, because they feel that makes them just the same as us, just the same as the rest of us. Same squishy little humans who can get diseases, who can get cancer, who have to go through a shit every day and wipe their asses like every other human has to do. No, they're above that. They have swans next to wipe their asses on, or whatever it is. And I kind of hate that idea. I think they could do a lot more good. And I think that Charlie could have done a lot more good if he, like our friend Mike, had actually documented his cancer journey and said what he had and what treatment he was having, and that it was fine, and that he'd come through the other side or whatever, and shared that with people. I think it would have saved lives, because one of the biggest killers in this country isn't necessarily the cancer itself. It's not getting to the cancer early enough, because men in general, not all men, hashtag not all men, a little bit like, it'd be fine. I don't want to go to the doctors. Don't want to bother the doctor. It's fine. And that can lead to a lot of unnecessary deaths that could have been prevented had that cancer been caught earlier. So this is something where the royal family, as far as I'm concerned, could do a lot of good and choose not to do good and say vaguely, oh, we've got cancer. I'm going to tell you which one it is. We'll tell you what treatment we've got. Now, for a president in a country that's supposed to be a democracy, and the president is supposed to be just one of the people who is over 35 years old and happens to be born in the United States of America, or somewhere claimed by the United States of America, like, I don't know, Hawaii, Guam, the Panama Canal Zone. Canal Zone? Canal Zone. The Panama Canal Zone. And yeah, it is just another case of these people in the public eye who are very rich thinking they're above the rest of us, and Trump doesn't need to give his medical records. Like, this is the thing, like, all presidents have given their medical records, even presidential candidates have allowed public, consumption of their medical records, but Trump hasn't. Not since 2015 when he first said he was going to run for president. He's not said that. That was 10 years ago. 10 years of this shit we've had now. An entire decade of Trump being a twat and just fucking wrecking everything for everyone. Veg Pie, thank you very much for the first super chat of the day with 5 good English pounds. Thank you. YouTube physio reckons Trump has congestive heart failure and gives him 6 to 8 months. Yes. So, yeah. Wouldn't that be a shame? Wouldn't that be a shame? But I don't just want to talk about Trump's health ailments at the moment. I also want to talk about what will happen if he does cark it while he's in office, which I think is quite important. But before I do that, I'm going to set a goal. I've not set a goal for a while. I've not set a goal. I think I should set a goal. So I'll do 5. I'll do 10 super chats, but the to get people into it. But all the colours. And if we get 10 super chats, any colour, in the next 45 minutes, I'll do an extended show. You see, I'm going away next week, so I've got loads of things to get on with at the moment. Loads of things to get sorted before I go. So I'm trying my best not to make the shows go on too long. Well, I will be from now on. But if you're very generous this morning, you put 50p in the idiot, I will continue to blather on regardless. Okay, so that's set up if you want to. And I think you get confetti if we get to the goal, which would be very exciting. I'm sure you all want to see the confetti. Anyway, and we're talking about something that's quite exciting today. Give it a bit of hope. Sorry, I know that's really grim, but who cares? Right, let's talk about the historical precedent of talking about the secrecy behind the health of the president. Obviously, FDR hid his polio complications. I mean, he couldn't hide the fact he had polio. He was in a wheelchair, but he hid his polio complications, and he hid his failing health in the 1940s. Don't forget, he died in 1944 or 45, just after winning his 4th election as president. It would have been 45, wouldn't it? And that's when Truman took over. Truman, famous for dropping the bomb, and not like at a disco, not in a good way. Sarah, thank you very much. Oh, it's very kind of you. £2 for the holiday pot. Oh, thank you, Sarah. That's very kind of you. So yeah, Sarah, it's your fault I'm talking about this, because you sent me the picture of Trump and then the comparison with the Queen with the bruise on his hand, and I was like, hey, there's something to put a spring in my step. Someone was asking me yesterday, can we talk about something cheerful? so I thought, what would cheer me up? Anyway, so JFK had Addison's disease, and his constant medical treatments were hidden from the public. Biden's records were released under pressure, but Trump has avoided this for decades. And, Aqua Berry shirt. Thank you very much for the £5.69. A great number. You're right, la. Thank you so much. That is very, very kind of you. You're like, la. Sorry, I'll stop doing that now. Anyway, so yeah, where was I? I was comparisons. But we've also got Trump's pattern of lying. His fake doctor's note from 2016 claiming he was the healthiest president ever. to his team's constant deflections, because no one wants to grapple with that one. And transparency in America. Americans deserve to know if their president is fit for duty. He's not just head of state. He's commander-in-chief of the fucking armed forces. I mean, come on. Come on. Like, he does need to be healthy. Don't accuse me of being ageist here, because I'm sorry, but there's such an important role, which I think that the president is in charge of too many things. You know, he's in charge of the Department of Justice, as we've seen. He's in charge of Homeland Security, which includes ICE, which we've seen. He's in charge of the FBI and the CIA and all kinds of fucking shit that he shouldn't be in charge of, but he is, because he's the president and he's in charge of all this stuff. And his cabinet is not drawn by elected people. It is drawn from his mates. Or rather, this term, his sycophants of Fox and Friends, of Murdoch's disgusting news channel in America, which has possibly killed more Americans than the fucking Civil War, to be honest with you. The amount of misinformation they put out there, leading to the deaths of Americans doing daffy shite, like, I don't know, drinking raw milk or injecting ivermectin up their arse or whatever the fuck crazy shit the absolute vermin, the scum, the vultures of Fox News are telling them to do. You know, people, I feel sorry for them. I feel sorry for people who haven't got a very good education, and then they're subjected to a non-stop diet of bullshit for the best part of 20 years. You know, what would you expect them to think? What would you expect them to behave like? Lunatics, mostly. Chris C, thank you very much. The problem is Trump will be given a state funeral. That's not a problem. Still a funeral. They'll still be in a box. I have no problem with that at all, Chris, because he will not be given a state funeral in this country, and I won't have to pay for it. So, yes. Talking to Fox and Friends. So, recently, Trump was on it, and he said, I want to try and get to heaven if possible. I'm hearing I'm not doing well, ... Now, okay, he could be just saying, like, he's not doing well in terms of morality. He could be reflecting on his, you know, whether he will get into heaven when he dies. But also, it sounds like a man reflecting on mortality. Like, I want to try and get to heaven if possible. I'm hearing I'm not doing well. That's his direct quote from Fox and Friends the other day. And, you know, compare this to Trump of the past, who was brash, invincible, never admitted weakness. This is very different. Either he's genuinely sick, or maybe he's just playing up frailty for sympathy, which wouldn't be out of the question for vermin like Trump. But let's talk now about the fucking what if Trump dies in office, right? What are the chaos scenarios that will form in the wake of his departure in a box from the White House, as predicted by your humble host here, who never gets anything right apart from a few things like, you know, Trump will be re-elected and things like that, and that the previous leader of Labour was unelectable, and that Brexit would be a fucking disaster. Someone listen to me. It's fine, you listen to me. I love you. Thank you for sticking with this channel. I feel like Cassandra pulling out my hair. That's what happened. I did have lots of hair before. About 10 years ago, I had like long hair. I had long, curly, ginger hair. Looked fucking amazing. And then all this fucking happened. And I was like, no, don't do that, because then this will happen. And everyone's like, it'll be fine. It'll be fine. Woo. Oh, hello, Miss Paula Thomas. Thank you very much for the £5 super chat. Woo! Trouble with Trump dying is then we get JD Vance, and he is probably worse. Well, I want to talk about this, and that's brilliant. Thank you so much for the super chat, and thank you, because this is exactly what I was about to talk about. His immediate the immediate succession would be JD Vance will become president. But the problem is, JD Vance has little governing experience, he's weak political control, and his competence is questionable. And this will lead, I think, to MAGA factionalism that doesn't exist so much under Trump, because Trump manages to hold it all together. I don't think that JD Vance will be able to do it, because JD Vance is ultimately unlikable. You saw him in that donut shop, and the coffee shop, whatever. I asked him for donuts, and he didn't know how to have a conversation. It was very awkward. It was very strange. Now, compare and contrast that to Trump, when he meets people, he knows how to talk to them. I mean, he talks like a fucking lunatic, but he has that ability to talk to people. And so contrast Trump working in McDonald's and chatting to people coming through. And I know it was a photo op, but I thought it was quite telling the way he comes across to people compared with how J.D. Vance comes across to people. J.D. Vance is incredibly unlikable. He's an incredibly unlikable man and incredibly thin-skinned, but he doesn't have the chutzpah required to be a cult leader. He just isn't a cult leader. It's like getting John Major to lead your cult, or Keir Starmer for that matter. It's just not going to happen. He just doesn't have what it takes. And without Trump as the unifying cult leader of the MAGAs, you can expect internal warfare. Miller versus Hegseth, Gabbard versus Kirsty Noem, all clawing for influence, and it'll be a bloodbath. Well, I'm hoping it'll be a bloodbath. That'll be most excellent. A metaphorical bloodbath. I don't think any blood will actually be spilled, but you never know. These people are all armed and fucking crazy. So, hope springs eternal. And I think this would lead to congressional gridlock. The Republican House majority is razor thin and it's split into factions, and it would be chaos without Trump's personality cult. Don't forget, every time Trump wants to do something, he will, and there's like 8 people holding out in the House of Representatives in America. He'll get on the phone to them and promise them all kinds of shit, gifts from the Saudis and the Qataris and from the Penguins of Norfolk fucking Island, and he'll say, come get on board and I'll give you all this stuff, and if you don't get on board, I'm going to primary against you in the next election. You'll be fucked and you'll be out of a job, and I'll put you in jail and all these mean things. And I don't think that J.D. Vance would get away with doing that. He doesn't have the chutzpah. He does not have the chutzpah. And I think that the party will factionalize very, very quickly. You saw the transition from JFK to LBJ to Lyndon Johnson. That gave stability to America. However, when dictators go, Franco, Stalin, Tito, that leads to chaos and power struggles. And Trump is not a normal president. He is a dictator. He works like an authoritarian. His gruesome executive orders are totalitarian. They are digging into the everyday lives of Americans. He is more communist than fucking Lenin ever fucking was, because he wants to tell people where they're allowed to work, who they're allowed to give things to, who gets food, who doesn't get food. He wants to decide all that. He wants to do the whole, the thumb thing from the old Roman Empire. And so I do think that Trump's departure in a box from the White House will lead to fucking chaos. I think it's going to lead to a power struggle within the MAGA movement and the Republican Party. And I think he is the weird glue at the moment holding the Republican Party together. And without him, I think that they're going to collapse. They're going to absolutely collapse. And we've got to talk about how the MAGA faithful would react to Trump's death. I mean, Trump's cult of personality. Those hats say Trump. They don't say Trump Vance. When other presidents were running for president and it was always the name of the president and then the name of the vice president. He didn't have that. It was Make America Great Again. It was Trump. It was 45-47 on the caps. It was Trump. Trump was right about everything. It's always Trump. J.D. Vance doesn't really get a mention in the merchandise. And I know that he might be out there on the political ads, but in the merchandise, it's just Trump. It's a cult of personality. And this will not transfer to Vance. I mean, people saying it may not transfer. It will not transfer to Vance. I absolutely guarantee it. I will stake my reputation, such that it is, on the fact that it will not transfer to Vance. And, you can expect conspiracy theories, that Trump was assassinated by the deep state when he does die, that he was poisoned, or the Epstein files connection, but maybe this was retribution from beyond the grave by Jeffrey Epstein, for being killed by Trump when he was in prison. Who was president when that Epstein was killed in jail. When who was president at the time? Who was implicated in the Epstein files? Oh no, he isn't actually, because the convicted sex offender Ghislaine Maxwell has said on the record now that because she wants a nicer cell, that Trump definitely didn't have anything to do with Jeffrey Epstein. Definitely didn't have anything to do Trump, Epstein, Trump. Nothing to do with it, except all those photos that were taken with them together, and the quotes that Donald Trump gave, and the fact that he drew a picture of a naked woman for some reason and used his signature as her pubes. And now whenever you see his signature on an executive order or anything, you just got to think, oh, pubes. But yeah, nothing to do with it. Nothing to do. No. He was just an innocent bystander to all the abuse that was going on. You know, that guy who has been found guilty in a court of law, culpable in a court of law of sexual abuse and rape, Donald Trump. He definitely didn't do any of that sexual abusing. That would be very out of character for him. The guy who bragged about being able to sexually abuse women by grabbing them by their pussy. Yeah, do you remember that? Yeah, bragging about sexual abuse. But there you go. He had nothing to do with it, apparently. But you can imagine the way that the QAnon meltdown that will ensue if Trump does cark it, and this could not just destabilize the Republican Party and the MAGA fucking lunatics in general, but also it could destabilize US politics further and drive it further into the abyss. However, there's a risk of violence with MAGA extremists lashing out. But I don't think that, for instance, if J.D. Vance made a speech and told the MAGA faithful that are left that they have to go and storm Parliament, or Congress building as they call it over there, in America, I can't see them going, yeah, all right, J.D. He just doesn't have the cult appeal that Jim Jones did, or fucking David Koresh or Donald Trump. The followers of Donald Trump will not follow J.D. Vance off a cliff. They just won't. They'll follow Trump off a cliff quite happily. They'll inject fucking ivermectin up their ass because Trump tells them to. So, a lot of them aren't quite with it, but they worship Trump. That Trump has whatever chip in their head, their religion chip, is malfunctioning, and they make him the Godhead. They make him the savior of mankind. A savior of Trump kind. So yeah, there would be international fallout, obviously, when Trump carks it. Russia and China would see Trump's death as weakness, a potential opportunity to expand influence. But then again, I mean, they're seeing his reign of error as a weakness anyway in the United States. You're seeing this around the world where countries are throwing bombs across each other's borders, and you'll see that a lot more with Trump in power, or possibly, and it might not get much better with Trump out of power, but as soon as the Republicans are disposed of in an efficient way, then yeah, great. We'll make it. America could be respected again. How about that? How about Mara? Yeah, Mara. Make America respectable again, or respected. Just respected. Because at the moment, America's not respected. Everyone's laughing at America. Everyone's giggling at how inanely stupid people are in America. Not just the political class, but the general citizens, which is unfair because half of them didn't vote for Trump. But, enough did. 77 million people went into the voting booth and said, I want the sex offender, the paedophile, I want him to, be in charge of the nation's children. The pedo. The fucking pedo. They voted for him, knowing he's a paedophile, knowing he's a traitor, knowing that he sold that he sold secretive documents top secret documents to the Russians, to the Chinese, to the Saudi Arabians, to the Australians, to anyone who wanted to buy his fucking secret documents that he stole from the White House, which led to the deaths of dozens and dozens of American agents, American secret agents working around the world. Is their names and their contact details, all and what they look like, all got leaked out, and dozens of them were shot dead across the world. All these spies were shot dead or killed in some way or another because Trump leaked their names and addresses. Which is the plot of Mission Impossible 1, if anyone remembers it that far back. The Rabbit, was it the Rabbit? No, it wasn't the Rabbit's Foot. That was a different episode. But the one where he had the list of all the operatives around the world. And he had to spend the movie stopping the baddie from getting hold of them. Or rather, giving the baddie the list and then taking it off him, or killing the baddie or something. I can't remember. It was a long time ago. 30 years ago, the first Mission Impossible movie came out, wasn't it? 30 fucking years. That's crazy, isn't it? The point is that Trump basically was the villain from Mission Impossible 1, and he got the list of all the secret agents and then gave them to the people who want to kill the secret agents for money, because he likes money. It's all he likes. People lining up to give him fucking gifts. It's kind of crazy. It's kind of crazy. Oh, got supermassive black hole Wayne. Hello, oi oi, says Wayne. How you doing, mate? How are you doing this morning? And we're talking about the Middle East, how the world will react. Middle East, Iran, Israel, and other countries might escalate conflicts, testing the US resolve. But I can't to be honest with you, can Israel escalate any more? Like this week, Israel, right, the leader of Israel, this guy called Benjamin Netanyahu, is a fucking criminal. He's a fucking crook. He's a wanted war criminal. He's a murderer. He's a fucking monster. He's an absolute monster. He did a deal. He did a Pizarro. Do you know what a Pizarro is? So Pizarro was this guy who was a Spanish conquistador, and he kidnapped the king of the Incas, and he ransomed him for the throne of God, for a room of gold, not a throne of gold, a room full of gold. And so the Incas from across the empire, they got together all of their gold ornaments and jewelry and accoutrements, and they sent them to, I think it was sent to Lima in Peru, and they filled a room full of the gold. It was all the gold they had. It was all the gold in the empire. Because gold was pretty hard to come by back in the day, and Pizarro said thanks for that, and then killed the Inca king anyway. I went, ha! So that's what Benjamin Netanyahu has now done in Gaza. He has given the Hamas an ultimatum. He said, right, you need to do this, or I'm going to invade Gaza City. And Hamas said, okay, we'll do that thing. And he went, oh, I wasn't expecting you to do that. I'll tell you what, how about we just invade Gaza City anyway? Gobshite. So I don't see how things would necessarily escalate if Trump died necessarily, but what might be the problem is the ensuing chaos in America in the wake of Trump's departure and him shuffling off this mortal coil. NATO, Europe, Trump has already destabilized NATO. Vance is actively anti-NATO. He's spoken about how much he hates NATO, how much he hates the UK, even though he wants a holiday here, how much he hates other countries in Europe. He's been very, very vindictive, because he's a vindictive little shit about our continent and about the people who live here and the people in charge. And I mean, Trump's death and the advent of J.D. Vance, but I think that it would steal the resolve of the countries that are in NATO that aren't the United States of America to work together even more than they are already, for a possible future that doesn't include America in security guarantees for anything much, because no one can rely on America anymore. Mara, make America reliable again. And obviously the markets there'll be a global economic shock if Trump carked it, and the markets are already fragile from Trump's tariffs, and this is why I hope, if it happens, right, I hope it doesn't happen too soon, because we need the markets to tank of their own free will before Trump goes, because I don't want his MAGA faithful blaming his death on the markets tanking, whereas the real reason for the markets tanking is the mad fucking tariffs that he's put on everything. He's bragging about all this money that these tariffs have brought in for America, for the American government. He's made billions out of these tariffs, and he's bragging about it. Yeah, but those billions are taxes that the poorest people in America are having to pay for, that most of the people who voted for Trump are having to pay for in increased prices of everything they buy that is imported. From your Nintendo Switches to your bananas. Like, that's just the fact. That is just the fact. He has put tariffs on fucking every country, everything, every commodity coming in. Even stuff that you can't create in America. And this isn't like this will happen in 5 years if you don't build a factory here. No, this has happened straight away. whether you build a factory in America or not. JD couldn't afford the beer in them anyway. JD Vance is an absolute fucking cretin. He called Donald Trump Hitler. He said he was America's Hitler, and then he agreed to become vice president. So that shows where his morality lies. He'll put his lot in with a guy he described as Hitler. He's like, oh, modern day Hitler, orange Hitler, mango Mussolini. Yeah, I'm all for that. That sounds good. Oh, Cheeto Benito. Woohoo! I'm in there. Fucking. Anyway, taco tits. Anyway, so yeah, and then we talk a little bit about how Trump will be remembered, Trump's legacy. You know, Trump wants him to be remembered as, peace deals, obviously, that's been put forward by Caroline Leavitt and the other fucking weirdos who hang around him saying, oh, he's broken 6 peace deals since he became president. No, he fucking hasn't. Or he called up Pakistan and said, oh, pack it in. Pack it in, Pakistan. No, he did. I mean, that would have fizzled out anyway. I mean, any president of the United States would say, "Oh, you pack it in," and they probably would have done. There's no appetite for war between India and Pakistan, and the same with Cambodia and Thailand. There's no appetite for war between those two countries. I mean, they might have a little bit of a skirmish now and again on the borders, but it's not Trump who stopped that. And if it was any other president, he wouldn't necessarily take the credit for it. It would just be like, oh yeah, it was something that was put together by diplomats, American diplomats, working tirelessly behind the scenes to achieve these outcomes. So yeah, he wants this idea that he's going to be remembered as a president of love. But the history will be called the rise of authoritarianism, not just in America, but around the world as a consequence of his influence, the erosion of democracy in America, the mainstreaming of racism and political violence, the tariffs and the trade chaos, the mass deportation, the camps, the concentration camps, comparisons, the fact that he's a sex offender, the fact that he was put on trial, the fact that he was found guilty of crimes, the fact that he stole documents from the White House and then sold them to the highest bidder, the fact that he mounted an insurrection against the seat of American democracy in America. All this stuff that he did, it just blows my mind. It's like America electing Osama bin Laden to become president after 9/11. But they did. They went, oh, he knows how to get things done, doesn't he? I mean, give him his credit. He knows how to get crazy people to do crazy fucking things. He knows how to kill Americans. He knows how to make Americans dead. So let's vote for him, because that's the sort of thing that we want, because Trump was president during the pandemic, which led to the deaths of over 500,000 Americans. Not 500,000 people in other countries, like in Japan, which admittedly has a smaller population than America, but, not that much smaller. It's about half the population of America, a bit under half, actually. I think it's about 120 million at the moment. So let's say a third. Let's say a third of the population. And they had 70,000 deaths. America had way more than that, If America had 210,000 deaths around, maybe that would be acceptable. But, by the end of it all, I think they had over 1 million. And 500,000 were while Trump was in office up to the near the end of January 2021. Because his followers were told to do daft shit. They were told to stand up against this mask mandate. How dare they tell us to wear masks? And now his followers are going, how dare they tell us to vaccinate our children? And so their kids are fucking dying of whooping cough and measles and fucking, polio soon, by the looks of things. But, let's bring these Victorian diseases back. Because for no reason other than we don't trust doctors. We only trust sex offenders around here. I mean, fucking hell. You got to ask that of a Trump supporter. So you don't trust doctors, but you trust sex offenders. Okay. Genuine sex offenders. People who have bragged about being a sexual offender. People who have been found culpable in a court of law on the balance of probability that they did commit rape. Yeah, we'll trust the sex offender. He'll sort us out. Tommy says, Vance strikes me as the kind of guy who would kick someone in the balls if you said you would give him a tenner. Yeah, I suppose it would depend who it was. There's a few people I would kick in the balls for free. Chris C says, mods, if I send a link to a YouTube video on Discord, you can link it to the chat. It's about Israel's nuclear ambitions. I think it's worthy of being watched. Israel's just lost its fucking mind. I mean, we had to do another episode probably this week on Israel. We'll be talking about Israel tonight, me and Ollie, on Geoscope. So tune into that. We will get into the fucking nonsense that's going on there. Nonsense, the cruelty. I mean, the fact that they're killing more journalists, which we'll talk about when we look at the papers. The fact that Maryam Abu Daga was only 33. Who was another journalist that was killed in a bombing yesterday. We'll talk about it in a moment. Let's just talk about Trump carking it, because that gives me a little bit of hope for the future. I mean, that's one of the things that I often say about anything really, is that the beauty of life is mortality. Every dictator will eventually fall. Every dictator will eventually fall over and then be put in a box. Carrot in a box. Ooh, Trump would actually be a carrot in a box, wouldn't he? Particularly orange carrot in a box. Ms. Paula Thomas, £10 super chat. That's very, very kind of you. Thank you. Tariffs affect everything. For instance, no manufactured part has sub-assemblies from one country, let alone raw materials. No cow slaughtered in America has spent its whole life in the US. Yep, tariffs are absolutely fucking crazy. I mean, they are genuinely nuts. But Trump is genuinely nuts. So yeah, there you have. Anyway, so I think that Trump will not be remembered fondly by the people who hated him, but will be remembered fondly by the people who did. I think that's just got to be the way of things. I think that his death is going to either spark a rebirth of American democracy, or if the movement survives him, which I don't think it will, I'm hoping it won't, deepening authoritarianism. I mean, we might get a period of deepening authoritarianism just because J.D. Vance will be president and he's a fucking nutter. But I think that the kickback against that will be a lot stronger than the kickback against Trump, because a lot of the Trump supporters don't want to go against Trump. They have hitched their wagon to the Trump crazy train, and they don't want to let go for love nor money. But once Trump is no longer in charge of the crazy train, I can't see a lot of them hanging on. There was no there was no one who came after the guy, the Jonestown massacre guy. I suppose it's because they were all dead. There was no one who came after David Koresh in Waco. Oh, that's because they were all dead as well. There was no one who came after. I'm just trying to think of like cult leaders. Once they cark it, I suppose you could look at Scientology. L. Ron Hubbard carked it a long time ago. I think he's died in the 80s, but his movement survived him. And it's run by a guy called Miscarriage, who's a fucking piece of shit. Who's an absolute fucking piece of shit. No one's seen Miscarriage's wife for God knows how long, years. She's been hidden away in the vaults of Scientology, or murdered. We don't know. And just a really grim cult of fucking scumbags and celebrities who make shitloads of money out of the exploitation of child labor and the torture of children and the sexual abuse of children. It's so fucking dark. It is so dark. So yeah, it could go one of two ways. I'm hoping it will go the former. Rebirth of democracy in America and therefore around the world. Look, all leaders die, but Trump is different because of the cult around him, and his death in office wouldn't just be a tragedy for his friends and family. It would also reshape the global world order. It just would. And, this isn't ghoulish speculation. I mean, Trump is the oldest president to be ever elected to the office of president. And he is, his death would, change a lot of things. And it's not just ghoulish speculation. It's preparing for what happens when an authoritarian leader exits suddenly. This is like Operation London Bridge. We've got to think about what happens when the monarch is no longer going to be with us. What do we do? What's the line of succession? How does it work? How do people react? How do we celebrate? How do we commiserate? How do we, whatever. And, we don't know if Trump is dying, but signs do point to something very wrong with him in more ways than one. The bigger issue, I think, is the issue of secrecy, the lack of transparency, and the danger of one man holding so much power, which I think is is the Achilles heel of the American democratic system. And Americans and the world need to be ready for the instability that will follow his departure from this plane of existence. And whether he dies tomorrow in 10 years' time, his legacy is basically already written, and it will not be kind. It will not be kind. Worst president ever. In so many ways. Peter Thiel will be controlling the president, Graham. Janeway, yes, you're right. That is true. However, as I said, J.D. Vance does not have the chutzpah of Trump, and he will not be able to get the 2025 Project 2025 agenda through as much as Trump can. I'm thinking of him. I think their performance, if it happens before the midterms, I think that the performance at the midterms could really, really be impacted, because by then the effects of the tariffs will really kick in. You'll be getting people who will be homeless now because they voted for Trump, and they won't blame Trump. They will blame J.D. Vance, because they can't blame Trump because that's beyond their programming. That's like Job blaming God for literally going down and killing his family and burning down his house and covering him in fucking scabs and making all his hair fall out. He's like, no, can't blame God. Can't blame God. Can't blame him. It's such a great book of the Bible. That's such a great morality tale for us all. Anyway, so Brian Ferry, what? China is loving this Chinese century. That's possibly true. Viper Scott says Israel nuclear project link there as a mod, not a rocker. Viper can actually put links into the channel there. It's very true. But yeah, Peter Thiel's power is very concerning. He is a fucking vampire, same as Stephen Miller. These people are just grotesque human beings who should not be allowed to be billionaires, should not be allowed to have so much power over the democracies of the world. And yet they do. And we have a chance here with a Labour government to actually stand up against Thiel and Musk and all these fucking gobshites, and they choose not to because they're stupid fucking gobshites themselves. It's really winding me up. Like, stand up against these oligarchs, these international oligarchs who are destroying the world order. You think that these people putting up flags are not getting the flags paid for by somebody? I mean, they might be paying for them themselves because they're stupid enough. But I mean, this is a movement that's been put together by Thiel and Elon Musk and all those gruesome billionaires who have got together and gone, how can we fragment society in Britain even more? So in the local Facebook groups here in Durham, everyone's now arguing about the fucking flags, and it's causing a lot of bad feelings between neighbours, and this is exactly what they wanted to do. People are arguing on Facebook now. Neighbours are arguing on Facebook, calling each other fucking dickheads, and the whole thing descending into a slanging match because they want us killing each other, and then we won't think about turning our guns on the billionaires who are actually causing all the problems in our lives. Flags. Yeah. Supermassive Wayne, £2 milk fee. Thank you very much. Here's to keeping you chatting, Scouse Steve Allen. Oh, thank you. Thank you. I don't know what that means, but thank you very much. Reverend Caffey, I thought the point was Job did blame God till God showed up in person. No, Job was like, I will not give up. I will not call him a gobshite, essentially. He says, I know God did this to me, but I won't call him a gobshite. It wasn't just God on his own, to be fair. It was God partnering with Satan, partnering with the literal devil to go and just torment a guy because of a bet that they had, that the guy would say that God was a bit of a gobshite. But Job said, no, he's not a gobshite. He has reasons. He has his reasons. Don't know what they are, but yeah, he has his reasons. So moving on, let's just say he didn't blame God for his the fact that his fucking family fucking were killed. Yeah, I love that. And, at the end of the book, God says, "Well done, you passed the test." And he's like, "Oh, cool." It's like, okay, you can have another set of children now, because he didn't love the original ones. Kids are kids, aren't they? You don't really love them. He just gave them some new ones. Here you go, have some new kids. To replace the ones I brutally murdered because I'm a fucking nutter. The God of the Old Testament. Jesus Christ. Janeway, thank you very much for the £5 super chat. It's very kind of you. Peter Vile backs President Vance. Stephen Miller, Vice President. Heritage Foundation ran Trump. They will run Vance. The pain will continue. I don't think that... I know that will happen, Janeway, but and thank you very much for the super chat. I don't think that like I said earlier in the chat today, it's my personal belief that JD Vance will not be able to hold it together because he's an unlikable motherfucker. He doesn't have the bonhomie that Trump does have. He can't get people on side. He can't get people to do stuff. He's not a force. Trump, I hate him, and I wish all bad things to happen to him. But he is a force of nature in a way that JD Vance just fucking isn't. Just fucking isn't. And I don't think without that force of nature, what will happen is the economy will go into turmoil in the next year or so. And coming up to the midterms, people will blame JD Vance and therefore the Republican Party for all of their ills. The Democrats will say, "Yep, it wasn't us. We had nothing to do with this. This is all them. This is all on them." They can't blame Biden because under Biden things went amazing, but they millions of people went on the streets, forced that onto the streets, and then I don't know, put into camps by Trump or JD Vance for being on the street. I mean, it's going to get pretty grim pretty fucking quick for a lot of people in America. I don't think they quite realize how grim it's going to get. But my hope is in the midterms that they get absolutely demolished, and then with enough people in the House of Representatives and the Senate, the Republicans can push through their policies, even if the president refuses to sign them. So we will see. Viper Scott, thank you very much. £2 super chat, thank you. Although, even though I may miss the extra time, go for it. Oh, thank you. We've got 8 out of 10. And the goal ends in 6 minutes. So I'm going to go on. Peter Filers from the IT crowd. Yeah, I remember that one. Back before we knew what twat Graham Linehan was. So it was okay to laugh at his jokes. Okay, so I'm going to head over to the papers now for you all. There you go. We have Google Workspace with Gemini. Why are you showing me an advert? Piss off. We've got Heaven and Bell there. Okay. And then we've got exclusive news from the world of quantum physics, which is what you expect to see from the front to the start. Austrian boffins. I love this. It's not even boffins anymore. It's just boffs. Scientists. Major breakthrough in time travel. Boffins reckon they are close to cracking the secret of time travel. Is it possible to go back to Friday afternoon, please? No, I don't want to go back to Friday afternoon. I want to go back to 2012. And then, I want to go back to I want to go back to certain moments in time and move things slightly. OnlyFans sex star, parents anguish, says Daily Mirror. So parents don't approve of Lily Phillips, whoever she is, doing whatever she does on OnlyFans, which is up to her, I guess. And then hate in the classrooms, schools racism crisis, 15,000 kids sent home for discriminatory behaviour, youngest age 4. The number of kids sent home from school due to racist behaviour has soared to record levels. Suspensions have increased to more than 15,000 a year, double the amount in 2020-2021. Why is this happening? Well, because kids are parroting their parents' bullshit about, racist bullshit. People are more likely to talk racist bullshit now than they were because they feel empowered by the fact that Trump is president of the United States and Nigel Farage is running around with his breaking point posters and pointing all problems in the world to do with immigration that he caused. He caused a massive uptick in immigration. People have said, on this channel, just 10 years ago, most of the people working in London, in cafes, in pubs, in restaurants were from Europe. They were from Poland, Romania, Bulgaria, Spain, France, a lot of them. Now it's people from the Indian subcontinent, people from Bangladesh, people from India, people from Pakistan. Why? Well, because that's the people that are coming over now, because we're told people not to come from Europe. So the vote for the Brexit essentially just made sure that at the end of the day, they made damn sure that we have more people who weren't white coming here. Great. I don't mind that. They seem to mind it a lot. Anyway, Lost Missionary, thank you very much for the £2 super chat. Good morning, everyone. Why change now, eh? Hey, thank you very much. And we have one more super chat to come in the next 3 minutes, and where I am, 20 seconds. It might be 3 minutes for you because we do have a little bit of a delay on here. But if you get that in, we will extend the show for another half an hour. I'll give you half an hour. Half an hour of me with another super chat. Go on, put 50p in the idiot. You know you want to. The Cheats Med Diet when you're back home. And then we've got NHS medicine. Right, I like the idea that you can cheat by going on a med diet. 6 exercise everyone over 40 should do. Guys, obviously going for a shit there in a squat toilet. Then we've got the pharmaceutical industry is threatening to deny patients life-saving treatments after making unaffordable demands on the NHS. The health secretary has said, yeah, this is because of Trump, and this is because of Trump's fucking tariffs and all that kind of shit. And he said that, you know, these big pharmaceutical companies, some of which are American, have to charge us loads more for drugs to keep people alive. Yes, Viper Scott, we did it! Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo! We did it! We got to the goal just in the knickers of time. So thank you very much to Viper Scott, Alice Durham. You are amazing and awesome. Thank you. And I just want to say to all of you, oh, there you go. Oh, wow, Paula Thomas also in there. Okay, I'll do the 10th. What, the 10th Doctor? Naughty. Get David Tennant on the phone. Thank you very much, Paula. That's very, very kind of you as well. As Alice Durham, you have put 50p in the idiot, and I will continue to blathel on. And Diz says, yes, confetti! Nice one, chat. Things we do for animated confetti. I've not seen it. I need to watch this back and see what the confetti looks like. I'm quite intrigued. Okay, so UK prepared to send 100 small boat arrivals back. Crossings continue after 212 reach Britain in a day. More than 100 asylum seekers have been detained for deportation to France. Keir Starmer set up his plan to tackle the small boats crisis amid a fresh surge in crossings and mounting pressure within Labour. Data sharing, dating data shows we love age gaps like DiCaprio. As Leonardo DiCaprio got older, his girlfriend stayed the same age. Observers mockingly coined it Leo's law, which always dictated his relationships always ended before his lover turned 25. DiCaprio, 50, is in a relationship with Vittoria Serretti, a 27-year-old model, and dating app data suggests men and women's desires are more similar to the actors than many care to admit. And I've got to say, you know, like Catherine is a lot younger than me. She's a whole 2 months younger than me, which is, you know, outrageous. And I'm a cradle snatcher in that respect. I was born in February and she was born a couple of months later in 1979. However, yeah, I get this. I know people who are in happy relationships where there is a massive age gap, but that's what they want. And this isn't just the realms of relationships between men and women. By the way, I know gay couples where I was, you know, very good friends with a very good friend of mine when he was in his 20s was going out with a guy who was in his 40s, and that's the way they liked it. They liked that dynamic. So if someone who is younger is going after someone who's older, that's what they want because they're more mature or they got a house or whatever, then cool. If someone who's older wants to go for someone younger, it's fine as long as they're not too young. As long as that age gap isn't kind of disgusting. I'm looking at the guy, you know, the freaky looking guy from Big Bake Off, whatever his name is, Noel from the Big Bake Off. When he was in his 30s, he went out with a 16-year-old. That's a bit much. I think that's technically legal, but technically disgusting as well. A 16-year-old, Peaches Geldof, I think it was. Bob Geldof, one of Bob Geldof's daughters, when she was 16, going out with a man in his 30s. I think that's a bit too much, going a bit too far. But otherwise, I have no problem with age gaps relationships. Nothing to do with us, as long as it's legal and both people are happy to be in that relationship. I don't see why it's a problem. You can tell me why it's a problem if you like, but yeah. My partner is 12 years younger than me, says Martin Harrow. Same here, Martin. Yeah, it's fairly normal. I think it's just fairly normal. It's just the way things go in life. I'm sure that if I had ended up with someone who I had met on Tinder or something like that, they would have ended up being younger than me just because of the way things go. And also it's the fact that I guess also there's a thing with if you are going to go into a relationship when you are in your 30s or 40s and you're going to go out with someone you're the same age as you, there's a very good chance that they'll have kids. There's a very good chance they've got, a former husband or a former boyfriend who they have to see still because they have to have just joint custody of the children and all that. And, some people don't want that. They don't really, it's a bit of a pain in the ass, isn't it? You want to go out and travel the world, go see the sights, and you can't because you're looking after someone else's fucking kids. You can see why it's not that attractive to some people. Mind the gap, a bit judgmental of the London Underground announcer. Mind the gap. My rule on dating age gaps: if you don't share a memory of the same Blue Peter presenters, it's wrong. If they've never heard of Blue Peter, it's very wrong. Says Mike Dix. That's fair enough. But I guess, I don't know. I mean, I kind of think that you need to have lots of things in common when you're in a relationship. But having said that, I went out with an Aussie for 10 years, and when we got together, I guess we liked the same stuff, and we did have a lot in common when it came to music and things. But there were very few sort of cultural touchstones like Blue Peter she had any idea about. So a lot of the kid stuff that I watched growing up, except Round the Twist. We did share a love of Round the Twist. I've got to say, because that was one of the best shows ever made until Gravity Falls. I'm sorry, but Round the Twist, Gravity Falls, best TV of all time with Twin Peaks in the middle. Tim Peake, wasn't he an astronaut? Anyway, so this is what happens. You put 50p in the idiot. I just blabble on about any old thing. But yeah, I've got no honestly, I've got no problem with it. I'm not judgmental. I'm not judgmental about it. I'm a little bit maybe if the person in question is in their 80s and the person they're going out with is 18, then I think that's a bit too much. That's a bit too much. But generally speaking, if it works and it makes people happy and it's what they want, it's nothing to do with me, and I won't judge people for it. Like I say, had I not ended up with Catherine, I'm sure I would have ended up with someone who was a bit younger than me, just because of the way things are when you're in your 30s. Anyway, so there's a picture here of a child crying on dad's shoulders. Migrants try to board a UK-bound boat from Gravelines in France. The government will target those in nearby camps with adverts warning they will face deportation. I don't think it's enough, but we'll see. Director Darren Aronofsky on reliving his youth and embracing AI. He's the director of Requiem for a Dream. Thinking of taking drugs? Watch Requiem for a Dream. It will put you off taking drugs. Drugs are bad, okay? If you're thinking of becoming a ballerina, watch the movie Black Swan, which is, a reason to not become a ballerina. Also directed by Darren Aronofsky. So if your child is getting into either drugs or ballet and you don't want them to, they're your two Darren Aronofsky movies that you should definitely force them to watch. Requiem for a Dream, followed by Black Swan. Both quite grim depictions even. Get the word right, Graham. Depictions, both quite grim depictions of two very different worlds. One the world of drugs and the other world of ballet dancing. Actually, Requiem for a Dream. So it's not just drugs. It's about addiction. It's about addiction. It's about more than it's about addiction. Global condemnation after Israel bombs the same Gaza hospital twice. That's fucking Al Qaeda fucking MO, isn't it? You bomb a hospital, and then when everyone runs in to help the people in the bombed out hospital, you bomb it again. That's what Al Qaeda does. Fucking terrorist. This is Israel acting as a state terrorist. And this is a picture of Mariam Abu Daga, who was murdered yesterday. In her will, she wrote to her son, "I want you to pray for me and don't weep over me so that I may remain happy. And when you grow up, get married and have a daughter and name her Miriam after me, or Mariam after me." So sad, so cruel of the Israeli regime to do this to someone else's country. So there you go. And we move on to Labour vows big surge in asylum hotel closures. The Home Office has promised a big surge in closing asylum seeker hotels this year, with 5 more to close this year as pressure grows over the government's record. Speaking after a weekend of protests and counter-protests over the use of hotels to house asylum seekers, Angela Eagle, the Border and Security Minister, said that Labour had inherited a border security system in tatters. Which is true. They definitely did. This is the Tories' mess that Labour are having to clean up. I just wish they'll clean it up in a more effective way. I feel like, you know, the sort of ignoring the festering carcass on the ground and worrying about the cobwebs. I'm like, can you deal with the actual fucking toxic, the hazardous to human health elements of this cleanup job? Can you deal with that first before you get out your feather fucking duster? Heat waves can speed up aging. Studies suggest, yes, absolutely it can. We know this because the more heat that we have and the more sun we take in, the more damage it does to our skin and the more damage it does to our cells, because the sun is radioactive. The sun is a big radioactive furnace in the fucking sky, which is blasting radioactive particles into our faces whenever we look at the motherfucking thing. It's like looking into the heart of the fucking the goo at the bottom of the meltdown at Chernobyl. Anyway, so yeah, I will go over to the Daily Mail. I know we possibly shouldn't, but here we go. The Daily Mail revealed taking too much ibuprofen can cause deafness. Okay. And then I think taking too much of anything will cause problems, but there you go. I mean, you probably have to take quite a lot, I guess. I don't know. How to tell if you're generally hungry or it's just in your mind. Nightmares can be a sign that you're seriously ill. Fucking hell, the Daily Mail laying it on there, you know? You're going crazy. You're going crazy. You're gonna die if you keep taking that ibuprofen for your sore back. You're gonna go deaf. You're gonna go crazy by having nightmares. You gotta be hungry, but you might be just, it might just be psychosomatic. Fucking hell. Daily fucking Mail. Jesus. Right, here we go. Farage unveils plan for mass deportations. Imagine for one moment the front cover of the Daily Mail being taken up by the news that the new leader of the Greens, Zach Polanski unveils plan for Green Revolution. They've got the same number of MPs. They've both got 4 MPs each. Do you think that's going to happen on the front cover of the Mail? Of course it's fucking not. This is just a fucking megaphone for the Farage creep. Who we still haven't found out what happened to that pilot, have we? No one's found out what happened to that pilot. No one's mentioning the fact that pilot, no longer with us. That pilot who was the pilot of the plane that crashed with Farage in it, the guy who saved Farage's life, who clearly had PTSD after the crash, and his business went under after the crash because the crash investigation meant he couldn't fly while the crash was being investigated, and he was given no financial support by Nigel Farage, and who's a multi-millionaire who could have afforded it. I mean, I'm just saying. Farage unveils plan for mass deportation, but Tories say migrant policy blitz is copied from them. Hopefully, by the time the next election comes around, this won't be an issue again because there will be a processing centre in Calais and people won't be coming across in small boats. Mail even uses the word blitz in its headline. Yeah, good point, Fat Spicer. I think you're absolutely right. Like, just blitz, policy blitz. Jesus Christ. Tommy asked me, have you heard of that cancelled Batman film that Aronofsky was going to make with Clint Eastwood? So that sounds weird to me. Yeah, put that in the pigeonhole with the Return of the Jedi being directed by David Lynch, which could have happened. There was talk, there was outlines, there was going to be the battle between Darth Vader and Luke Skywalker was going to be fought in their minds. It would have been wacky as fuck. And now that we have AI, I think we could probably make Return of the Jedi as directed by David Lynch. I think it would be amazing to put that together for a laugh. Obviously it'd be fake. Obviously it would be unofficial. But could you imagine? That sounds like a project I'd really like to get my teeth into. A pastiche of all of Lynch's work, but in the Star Wars universe. I just think of the moment where one of the Ewoks meets Princess Leia and opens opens his face to reveal the vast emptiness of the universe, and then suck a stormtrooper into their face and then close their face. Imagine that happening in a Star Wars movie, because fuck it, David Lynch was fucking a genius. He was a genius, and he was into his mad shit, wasn't he? Could have been fun, but yeah, Aronofsky doing a Batman film would have been quite mad, I'm pretty sure. So yes, has Harry found a new A-list leading lady? I don't know. I don't even know who that is. Prince Harry doesn't look like Prince Harry. I think it's Harry style. The Bob is back, says Zendaya at the top of the Telegraph here. And then BBC's 1066 isn't all that. So there you go. Don't like that because it's the BBC, and the Daily Telegraph doesn't like the BBC. Desperate scramble for a ride to Britain. A really harrowing picture there of a small child on their dad's shoulders trying to get to a boat. A record 28,288 people have crossed the channel in small boats this year, after 212 people made the journey on Sunday, putting Keir Starmer, the Prime Minister, under more pressure to reduce illegal migration. It's not illegal. It's not illegal migration. Stop calling it that. It is not illegal migration. It is irregular migration. But as refugees, they have a right to do it, and this is the only way that refugees can claim asylum in this country. Starmer sides with courts over the people. Farage set for plan for mass deportation. So another story, front page of the Telegraph, about what Farage wants to do. So, like I say, could you imagine on the front page of the Telegraph, it's saying Ed Davey wants to clip the wings of every fucking pigeon in Leicester Square. Yeah, it wouldn't be a thing, would it? It wouldn't be a thing. But yeah, this is the right wing news. They all went to school together with the likes of Farage and Trump and Boris Johnson and JD Vance and all these gobshites. They all went to university together. They all hung out together. They all got their knobs out together. They all wanked onto a cracker together. They all just did horrible things together. They all bullied the shit out the working class lad who managed to get into the school on a scholarship. They probably bullied him to death, because that's the kind of cunty thing that these horrible little bastards will do. Sorry, just demonetized the show, but that's all right. You've been very generous with your super chats, and I might think that I just accidentally said country wrong. I didn't. I said something else, and you know what I said, but now I've said it. I stand by it. Okay, so Telegraph, public picks up Rayner's council tax bill and more bullshit here. The council tax due on Angela Rayner's Grace and Favour home they're calling it now, in central London, is being paid for by the public. Do you know who paid the council tax on the second dwelling at privately educated Dominic Cummings's mum and dad's place down the road from here in Durham? Do you know who paid the council tax for that for 20 years? No one, because it was put up that it wasn't a place that was fit for dwelling. So they didn't pay any council tax for 20 years on a place where they put their guests, when guests stayed, or when Cummings and his gruesome wife and children, I assume they're gruesome, I've never met them, but they're married to she's married to him, so I don't have much down for her. What is it with right mingers more like? Am I right? But yeah, they were staying in this outhouse, which apparently, this barn, and their massive sprawling, 100-acre fucking property right by Durham city centre. Because he's a common man with a common touch. He now lives in the castle, but he's very common. He's going to get out of London and get away from the metropolitan elite to go and stay at his parents' place in Durham, which is been converted into a place where people can live, and therefore there should be council tax to be paid on that residence there, on that their farmland that they own, vast swathes of land that they own near Durham city centre. But they said it wasn't. They said it wasn't fit for human habitation, didn't pay any council tax for 20 years, which they should have paid for. Did they have to pay it? Did they fuck? Because they were rich and they got away with it because they had clever lawyers and clever accountants and clever loopholes that the likes of Dominic Cummings, being an advisor to the Tory government for many years, said, hey, put these loopholes in so that if my parents get done for all this council tax they have to pay, we won't have to pay it. What's the council tax on Buckingham Palace? Come on, tell me. That's right, £2,000. £2,000. Council tax on Buckingham Palace. Yeah, let's talk about council tax. Let's talk about the unfairness of council tax. The council tax that was invented in the 1990s as a replacement for the poll tax, because that didn't go down too well with the population. Hey, there were riots in Kent, mate. Kent rioted. And it wasn't about foreign people for a change. It was actually about government policy, Tory government policy. So they replaced it with the council tax, and the houses were put into bands, A to E, I think. And then basically they were invented by driving past in a car and going, that looks like an E. That looks like a D. That looks like a C. That looks like an A. That looks like an a-hole. And they saw Nigel Farage walking along, and they pointed at him, and that's what they said. So yeah, let's talk about the unfairness of council tax. Let's talk about the fact that there's houses in Belgravia and houses near Victoria Station, halfway between Buckingham Palace and Victoria, that pay fuck all in council tax, even though the houses are worth £20 million. £20 million house, £2,000 council tax. Make it make sense. Anyway, but the public are paying for Rayner's council tax bill, because their flat in Admiralty House is covered by the taxpayer as a designated second home. Yeah, she is the deputy prime minister. I don't give a fuck. I honestly don't give a fuck. I mean, the hypocrisy here of the Telegraph even talking about this when they defended Boris Johnson, and the fact that he got an £800,000 loan that was brokered by this guy who he then made fucking director of the BBC. Great. Peers set to be sacked if they fail to turn up for work in the Lords. Good one. Labour doing something good for a change. Hope for prostate screening programme. That's good. 3 killed in the Isle of Wight helicopter crash, which is horrific and really sad. Fleetwood gives lesson in dignity. This is Mick Fleetwood, or Fleetwood Mac. He's very happy. He's just played a gig, and he looks so much younger than I thought he would. And then we've got Israeli double tap strike on hospital. They're talking about this horrific attack on a hospital in Gaza, which killed 20 people, including 5 journalists. Just fucking in Khan Yunis. I can't even. And then Trump puts brakes on UK wind farm giant. Britain's biggest wind farm operator has been plunged into crisis after Donald Trump halted its main US project. Danish energy giant Ørsted, which generates 7% of Britain's power, has seen its share price slump to its lower level after the Trump administration, told to do so by the foreign slime corporations, blocked work on the $4 billion Revolution wind farm off the coast of New England. Which we talked about on the show the other day, actually. And analysts said the crisis could force Denmark, the company's majority owner, to step in and rescue the company. Great. Thanks for that, Trump, you fucking vermin, you fucking scum. God, I can't wait for the big, beautiful day. The big, beautiful day. When it happens, I think I'm going to have an all-day. I'm going to do an all-day stream. Just celebrating. I'm going to get the beers in. Going to get the popcorn. Gonna laugh when I see people cry. I'm gonna be doing a little fucking happy dance. I'll dance a fucking jig like Bruce Willis at the end of The Last Boy Scout. I'm just gonna be a very happy bunny, a very happy camper. It's gonna be epic. It's gonna be awesome. It's gonna be, oh my God, it's gonna be so good. Oh yes, I just can't wait. I just can't wait for the big, beautiful day, the day that it happens. I want to be there on the day that it happens. Anyway, right, back to the news. Because that's what I'm supposed to be talking about, not just gloating over the fact that Trump is old and won't be with us much longer, one way or another. Yeah. Financial Times here. Rare earth war chest gives China leverage, which is very true. They have the not a monopoly over rare earths, but they have a lot of them, and they dominate the refinement of rare earth materials and elements. Powell missed his moment at Jackson Hole. Excuse me. It's about the Federal Reserve, but it sounds very rude. So, it's really funny. Powell missed his moment at Jackson Hole. Oh, you gotta laugh. You gotta laugh, haven't you? You gotta laugh. In harm's way, going back to the journalists, these are the 2 of the journalists that were killed by the fucking scum fucking IDF in Gaza for no reason other than they were in the wrong place at the wrong time. The wrong place being a fucking hospital. Who bombs a hospital? Monsters. That's who bomb hospitals. Did Al Qaeda ever bomb a hospital? Did they ever bomb a hospital? I don't know if they did. Someone look that up. Did Al Qaeda bomb a hospital? I mean, they were bad enough. I mean, I know they did a lot of fucking really grim stuff. I remember them bombing a hotel in Casablanca. I remember them bombing, obviously, the 9/11 attacks. Was it Al Qaeda who did the Bali bombings when the Paddy's Bar and the Savi Club were blown up? That was really good. That happened the same year that I was in Bali in 2002, I think it was. Was it 2002? I'm gonna have to look this up now. Bali bombings. Bali bombings. Yeah, it was 2002. It was on the 12th of October 2002. I was in Bali that year in March. I think I was in March that year, and I spent the whole time that I was there in Paddy's Bar, because it had loads of TVs up in there, and they showed MTV videos, and they had the music and the music video on the TV, which I always like when I'm out and about. And yeah, every night that I was there was at Paddy's Bar. And if I had been there a few months later, I wouldn't be with you today. But yeah. That was Al Qaeda. But yes, fingers crossed. If it happens on TV, I'll play it on repeat. Gallows humor. Yes. And here's the moment where he gasps his last fucking breath on this planet. Woohoo! Yes. Bit morbid. Don't give a fuck. Don't give a fuck. The guy is responsible for the deaths of millions down the line. Billions of people are going to die because of Donald Trump. Die prematurely, in pain, in agony, screaming painfully because of him, because of that one man. Because of all the funding that he's cut from cancer research, from vaccine research, all the wars that are going to come because of his shit meddling in foreign affairs, and his thumbs up to the idea that you can just name a country on a map and say you're going to invade, and that's okay. That's an okay thing to do. He sanctioned the idea that nutters are allowed to run liberal democracies in the future, which should never happen. Should never happen. Who got carried away watching a Christian being verbally spanked in an argument, says the Tribs. And Martin says, Andrew, I love Linux, but my partner doesn't understand how to work it, so I only have it on my Pi, on my Raspberry Pi. Viper says, last 5 minutes till I go. So, Graham, you all stay safe and well, and have a good day wherever you are, and I hope it's excellent for you all. Oh, thank you so much, Alistair. That's a really nice sentiment, and I hope that everyone watching this has a great day. So we're going to crack on with the papers for another 6 minutes, and then we're going to call it a night at Going to call it a night at 10:30 in the morning. We've got Wall Street calls for stablecoin rethink as friction with crypto industry builds. Loophole on interest yields. Bank fear. Cash flight worth trillions. Rivals see anti-competitive intent. This is quite an interesting story. I think banks are pushing to change US stablecoin rules over fears they will spark trillions of dollars worth of outflows, underlining growing competition between Wall Street and the cryptocurrency industry. So, nobody uses crypto for buying anything, because you buy a pizza with some fucking crypto and then you find out 10 years later that that money that you spent on that pizza is now will be worth billions, right? And so no one's using it as a currency. But then there are these stable coins which are linked to a currency, usually the US dollar, that's, go up and down with the value of the US dollar. And these present a bit of a loophole for people, investors, gamblers who like their crypto, like their crapto, and to basically siphon off loads and loads of money from America or wherever, and dump it into other countries without the same kind of rules and regulations against doing that kind of thing that exist for the traditional financial industry. So, for instance, in the UK, when Barclays wanted to move almost 200 million euros out of London and put it in Dublin because of Brexit, they had to go to the High Court to ask permission to do that. They couldn't just do it. But with stablecoin, you can convert American dollars into stablecoin, take it out of the country, and then return it into US dollars in another country. Bit of a loophole. So, crypto, yay, move fast and break things. Remember NFTs? Anyone remember NFTs? Remember that? People spent $5 million on a picture, on a little fucking GIF of an ape. And now that same GIF is worthless, literally worth nothing. They lost millions. People lost millions on NFTs. Do you remember that? That was fun. Did you buy NFTs? I fucking didn't. I was here. I was on this show. Not necessarily Morning Brew, but I was on the internet saying NFTs, bullshit. Crypto, crapto. Just don't do it. Just don't do it. Don't do it, kids. It's just like crack for the financial markets. It's gambling. And gambling is an addictive substance. It's just as addictive as heroin, apparently. Lights up the same parts of your brain as heroin. Gambling does. Grant Thornton messages to secretaries after private equity deal. You're fired. Grant Thornton has axed almost all of its UK-based secretaries in a move to cut costs. That's nice, isn't it? Just months after one of the country's largest accounting firms sold a majority stake to a private equity group called Sivan. Oh, private equity group, aren't they lovely? And then we have remember Mary Ann, the defender of truth and the free press. Fantastic cover here from The Independent. Israel laying out what happened. Israel bombed a hospital in Gaza yesterday, killing dozens, including Independent Arabia journalist Mary Ann Abu Dhaka. She was the very image of a free press, spreading truth, whatever the challenges and risks, with sincerity and courage. As we pay tribute to her, we condemn Israel's blatant violation of international laws that protect journalism and Palestinians. Absolutely. And I'm with The Independent on that, because that is just grotesque. What they've done. Don't forget the number of journalists who have been killed since October 2022. Sorry, 23. October 2023. The number of journalists who have been killed in Gaza has eclipsed the number that were killed during World War II. During a war of the world. And when I say eclipse, I mean like the number of journalists who were killed in World War II was something like 50 or 60, and the number that was over the 6 years of World War II. A war that was being fought in theatres all over the world. Not movie theatres, but the theatre of war. In Africa, fighting all across Europe, fighting in the Pacific. About fewer than 60 journalists killed in World War II. And so far, the number of journalists, let's Google it so we know, number of journalists killed in Gaza, it is nearly 200. Nearly 200. And obviously that's gone up by 5, at least. Just, really, really grim. Really fucking grim. What's happened in what's going on in Gaza, and the fact that our politicians seem to be completely fucking impotent to be able to do anything about it, which is really sad and shit. According to the International Federation of Journalists, at least 232 journalists and media workers have been killed. 232. And then we'll have a look at the numbers for World War II. How many killed in 69. 69 journalists killed in World War II, 63 in the Vietnam War. Wow. Fuck. Tommy says, dude, I nearly forgot about NFTs. Yeah, I think most people did, but God, some people lost a lot of money. Some people lost a fuckload of money. Fucking idiots. I have no sympathy. Right, crackdown on honour crime, law change in memory of murdered Fawzia, I think her name is pronounced. Fawzia Javed was killed in 2021, and this has led to a crackdown on honour crimes to be launched by the government to combat the growing abuses of women, including murder, forced marriage, and female genital mutilation. Up to this point, as far as I know, not a single person has ever gone to jail for female genital mutilation. And here's the rule that I will bring in. If a woman comes to hospital, even as an adult, and she has had FGM done to her, her parents go to jail. That's it. Both her parents in jail for the rest of their lives. That's the rule. That's the new rule. Because you can't do that to a child without their parents' knowledge. And to do that to anyone is just beyond beyond horrific, beyond horrific. So hopefully this new crackdown, there'll be a new statutory guidance for law enforcement agencies with teachers, police officers, social workers and healthcare professionals getting more training to spot this kind of shit when it happens, so that young women are not tortured and murdered by their parents or by family members. Okay, so Blue Light's superb series. I won't say more though. The bottom of the chain, this is from Martin. In my mum's house is financing through crypto, causing a lot of problems and delayed completion for 2 months. Fucking hell, the bottom of the chain in my mum's house sale. Fucking crypto is just a nightmare. It's just a fucking nightmare. Some people do very well out of it. It's just like a horse racing or gambling in the casino. Some people do very well out of it, but the majority of people, they don't do well out of it. Massive pyramid scheme. I'm an alcoholic because they don't have good drugs. It's really hard. I don't want to die, says Fulmar Music. If you are struggling with alcohol dependence and you know that you are, that's your first step to admitting that you have that problem, Fulmar. And please get help. Please get the help that you need. I've got 2 friends now who are no longer with us because of their addiction to alcohol. And you know, they went old men. And it's a serious problem, and both of them wouldn't really admit that they had a problem. They'll jokingly admit that they had a problem, but they never actually did anything to alleviate the desire for alcohol. And there are support networks out there. Please talk to a health professional about it. Fulmar Music if you can, and lean on friends that you have. Because one of the things that alcoholics do far too often is they end up pushing their friends away when their friends are trying to help them. And as a result of that, there's no one around to help them when they really need that help and they really need that support to get through it. On the more positive side of it, I have friends who have overcome alcoholism. They have done it. I've got friends like Rick, the drummer from Ash. He's sober now 10 years. I've got other friends who have managed to go through that and come out the other side. If you ever watch the brilliant musical Operation Mincemeat, the guy did the music for that, Felix. He overcame an addiction to alcohol, and he's sober now. And it is a mark of achievement when people talk about how long they've gone without a drink. Also, Mike Dix, if you're still watching, Mike, I hope you don't mind me saying this, but Mike Dix struggled with alcohol in the past, and he's completely sober now. He doesn't drink when we go out, which is great. I mean, it's great, that he's able to do that, and it's great that he managed to overcome those demons and get to this point. So there are good news stories with this, but all the people I know who managed to get through this and out the other side, they all had help, they all had support, and Fulmar, if you can use that to your advantage going forward, then I really hope that you can do that, because it is a serious health condition, and your liver will not be your liver will be very thankful, will be very grateful if you could find a way to avoid going down that route. Sean says, my childhood friend invented the original design for Philips Hue lighting, worked on Blackpool illuminations, died from drinking, says Sean. Yeah. And Diz says, I'm a recovering alcoholic. It's not easy at first, but it gets easier if you want to be sober. Yeah. And Mike says very sober. Mike is very sober. But no less fun. No less fun, I would say, about Mike. A lot of us, we turn into dicks when we drink. We do. And we just annoy people. And this is the thing, that's why alcoholics drive people away, because they get so drunk that they upset people, say the wrong thing. They don't remember it in the morning. And then, the next day they know they're fucked up, but they've got no comeback from it. Because you can't say, well, I didn't mean it. Well, yeah, but then you shouldn't have got so drunk. And I've done this in the past. I have done this in the past. I'm guilty of getting very, very drunk and saying inappropriate things because I was fucking wasted. But it's no excuse. It's no excuse. I shouldn't have drank that much. I shouldn't have allowed myself to get into such a fucking state that I upset my friends. Just an apology now, Diz. I'm supposed to compete this Friday, but we'll see. If we don't, he forfeits his £20,000 deposit. Oh my God. So that's crypto. That's crypto, isn't it? Wow. Harushi says my pills forbid me from drinking alcohol. Yeah, that's true. And Mike is always a dick. Yes, but not a dick. Fulmar says you should be out there surfing, but you're stuck here in the politics room. Are you talking to me? Yeah. Maybe in a couple of weeks' time. So thanks very much for joining me this morning for Morning Brew. I'm going to wrap it up there with love and respect to everyone watching. I hope you have a great day, whatever you're doing, whatever you're getting on with. I hope you have a productive day, and I hope you go to bed a little bit happier than you woke up this morning. In the greater scheme of things, I also want to let you know that we are doing Geoscope tonight at 7:30. So please join us for that. Me and Ollie will be talking about what's happening in Israel and around the world. Also, I'll be back tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock for Morning Brew. So please join us for that Morning Brew. In the meantime, look after yourselves and each other. And just make sure that you do at least one thing today that makes you happy. Just one little thing that makes you happy. Don't commit a crime, please. But as long as it's not criminal, as long as it's not hurting anyone, do a little thing that makes you happy, that makes you content in yourself. And that's my advice for today. That's my request, if you would be so kind. Also, I know this may sound a little bit greedy, if I'm going to ask you to be doing things, for the benefit of the universe, give us a like on the way out, please, because the more likes we get, the more proportion of likes we get to the number of people who watch, the more new people will be brought on board by the algorithm. And that's it. That's it for today. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for the super chats. Really, really appreciate it. And thanks for all the comments. I love the comments. I love the love in the comments. The hearts and people saying stay safe and all that. It's nice. It's nice. It's a great little group here. And if you want to join the channel and subscribe and get onto the Discord server, you can continue the conversation on over there. And in the meantime, I'll say thank you so much for watching. Hello, good evening, welcome, and goodbye.